Hello, my name is Shannon Hawkins, and I'm the founder and CEO of Leading Ahead Collaborative. And I'm so excited to share with you what I have been doing for my Thrive 5 project and to share it with the community tonight. I want to just start off by saying that many of us, this might be triggering, but many of us are still healing from something from our childhood. 67% of the population has experienced something called adverse childhood experiences, which is prolonged toxic stress and abuse that we might have dealt with in our childhood that we haven't healed from, that we have not yet addressed. That then changes the epigenetic DNA and the way in which we process the worlds around us, the way we see ourselves, the way we see ourselves in the world, coupled with the cycle of socialization, the way in which we interact and the way that we have engaged with the worlds around us and the systems at play. For Thrive 5 this year, one of the things that we focused on is the education sector. As a over decade-long educator who has also served in policy and advocacy, and who has also, I've also developed expertise in healing-centered engagement and trauma-informed care. One of the things that continues to come forward is the power of nurturing relationships that can heal trauma and can help to really propel a young person's life forward. For my own life, community is the thing that really helped to center me. Community is the thing that really guided me and gave me a way to really change my trajectory as a first-generation American raised by a single Black mom in Brooklyn, New York. Strong community, nurturing community was the tool and the catalyst that I needed to accomplish so many of the greatest things that people of my age, of my race, of my gender might not have been able to accomplish. I can even think about young people who lived on the same block as me in Brooklyn, who were not less intelligent than I who was not less brilliant. They were equally brilliant, but they did not have the resources. They did not have the social capital to continue to propel them and continue to help them along in their journey and to change their trajectory in the same way in which my mom was able to do for me. This is what I'm presenting to you from our project, the Village Well Fellowship. And through the Village Well Fellowship, the goal is that centered in community, educators and parents are coming together. They work together to really ensure that they are the village. That as they learn more about themselves, as they look through the ways in which they have experienced toxic stress and trauma, the ways in which the cycle of socialization has impacted them and the way that they see themselves in the world, and then how that interacts or how they then react in their response to their children and the young people in which they serve. So the goal is, if I am well, then we are well. And if we work on that together, then we are able to really liberate ourselves and liberate our schools and our communities in ways that can truly facilitate healing, centered engagement, instead of cultivating schools and communities that are toxic. The problem that we hope to solve is really addressing intergenerational historical trauma, systemic educational inequities, and inadequate family school partnerships. These are huge issues in the education sector, and through the Village Well Fellowship and through the work of my organization, Leading Ahead Collaborative, we are working on really addressing this issue. Intergenerational historical trauma in Tulsa, there's a 12-year shorter life expectancy gap from 74126 to 74133. I currently work as a teacher in 74126, considered one of the poorest zip code areas in Tulsa. And I've lived in 74133, which is in South Tulsa. And I can see the huge discrepancy and disparity in the two zip code areas. Similarly, as we spoke about adverse childhood experiences, 67% of the population has experienced at least one, which means, again, that many of us are healing through some of the things that we've experienced in our childhood. So if we had supportive systems and nurturing community to really help to address that, what might that mean for us as a people, as a community, as educators, and really for our world? Let's go ahead and take a look.
The term, the toxic stress response, actually refers to the prolonged activation of our body's stress response, the release of all those stress hormones like adrenaline and cortisol and all of those things that go along with our stress response. And then also the ways in which that affects our bodies. Children are especially vulnerable to this repeated activation of the stress response because their brains and bodies are just developing. So high doses of adversity in children actually changes the way their brains develop. It changes the way their hormonal systems develop, their immune system develops, and even the way their DNA is read and transcribed. And those long-term changes are what we refer to as the toxic stress response. We understand what happens in our bodies with the toxic stress response, and we understand that it's that prolonged activation of our stress response. Then step one is really understanding what are the things that help to regulate our stress response. And immediately at that point, we begin decreasing the harm that happened as a result of our past experiences. So things like mindfulness, right? Meditation, spending time in nature, mental health interventions, regular exercise, nutritional strategies, and my favorite, healthy relationships. All of these things are really scientifically demonstrated to help to regulate the biological stress response, and they improve our outcomes for those of us who have experienced these. These nurturing relationships, they feel good, which is good, of course, but they literally change our biology. When we have safe, stable, and nurturing relationships in our lives, it improves our neurologic functioning, it improves our hormonal regulation, it improves our immune functioning, and these social supports are critical part of healing. If we all understand our role in being a source of buffering care to a young person in need, that is truly transformative.
And we'll stop it there. One of the things that I wanted to share lastly is that we have been able to really work alongside a group of parents and educators. And I'm so excited to share that we've already begun to formulate this group. We meet every Thursday from 6 to 7:30. There's actually a session that's going to be meeting now while I'm here with you all.